A few weeks back, I invited my good friend Austin Lewis to have a live video chat within Verbal to Visual's new online learning platform to talk about a video that I saw Austin post, a cool sketchnote video that he made for a client as part of his new creative business, because I wanted to hear about the process he went through in creating that video. And I had the sense that folks who would be joining us live for that video chat that they'd be really interested in that as well. So here I'd like to share with you some clips from that conversation. Here's Austin talking about the origins of this particular project.
I started doing work, like some freelance work for honestly just some clients that were like close to my family and folks that knew my family. And one of those people was this guy Joe, who's a real estate agent, and um, he was just starting an online course where he wanted to teach people essentially like all of the prereq stuff that they needed to know to become a real estate agent in Massachusetts, where my family's from. And he needed someone to shoot a video with him, and he hired me to help him do that. And the whole process from start to finish, just based on the nature of the constraints that we were dealing with, like I happened to be back home just to be able to film him really like just quick and using like less than ideal tools, like the kind of thing where we have to like tape things over windows so that we can control the light a little bit, just really having to get creative about the whole entire process. And that was what the video was like from start to finish. And because of that, like I started to think about like ways that we could make this thing more creative and more honestly like kind of reflect the process that we went through to film the video. And also like Joe is the kind of guy who's really down to earth and trustworthy as a real estate agent, which I think is also kind of rare in that industry. Like one of the things that Joe told me was that folks like him often get a bad rep of being like kind of like a used car salesman. Like not a lot of people trust them. Like a lot of people think that they're just kind of out to get their money and take advantage of them. So it just I was thinking the whole way through just like how can we make this thing feel as personal and as down to earth, and like just kind of dispel that myth of like professionalism and him being unapproachable. And I just felt like doing something that was hand sketched and tangible was more fun for me in creating the video, but it also, I feel like it had the effect that I was looking for when I had the intention of making that video for him.
I really appreciate how Austin is willing to jump into opportunities like that one whenever they arise and kind of just figure it out as you go, leaning more into the intention behind the project rather than any predetermined process. Here's Austin on that.
The overall intention of the video was to connect with folks who genuinely might want to be a real estate agent, because Joe is somebody who can help them do that in the state of Massachusetts. So that was like the end result, is to like connect with folks who might take Joe's course and who might want Joe's guidance. But sort of the internal intention and like the strategy behind it was to share Joe's passion. Like I like from day one, I met Joe and I was like, whoa, this dude is like really unique. Like he's like he feels like he could be my uncle or friend or mentor or like all three of them. Um, and I just like really didn't want that energy to be lost in the video. Like I really wanted to lead with that energy rather than like a different approach, which could have been to like highlight professionalism, or how his course is like the one that would set you up to be the most successful in your field. Like I really wanted to, I wanted the intention of the video to be to find folks who share that similar passion that Joe has, because I felt that like if we can lead with that passion and that warmth and that groundedness and that down to earthness, like he's going to connect with folks who also feel the same way and who share the same values that Joe did. Um, so that was the intention behind the video that we made, and how the style, that specific style that we went with, how that came to fruition.
Yes, I love that. And I what I appreciate about that and the kind of overlap with sketchnoting there is that I feel like anything hand sketched in general kind of immediately gets you to a little bit more like personal place, I feel
Yeah,
like, than
sure.
something not handmade.
Hmm.
So that was a nice thing to see you weave in. But then also within the world of sketchnoting, there's plenty of opportunities to like add your own layer of personality to your sketch
Yeah,
notes just by like what materials you use and what your imagery looks like, how like artistic versus more simple your drawings are and things like that.
yeah.
So I like that about sketchnoting in general,
Hmm.
and for this particular application of like communicating what Joe is all about and
Yeah.
the thing that he's offering in this case. To decide how best to communicate that offering, Austin played around with a few different visual styles before landing on the final form.
Once I realized that I wanted it to be tangible and I wanted it to convey all of those feelings and have that intention that I just talked about previously, once I realized that that was what I wanted to, the place I wanted to create from, I sort of was thinking about three different things. Like I knew we would have the talking head shot of Joe, but I also wanted to intersperse that with some visual stuff that wasn't Joe. And I for that I explored like kind of three different things. And one of them was stop motion, using paper stuff. Like I love stop motion. It's something that I love to dabble in. Um, and I always think that that just has a very awesome feel to it. Like that is one thing that I think could help us get to that feeling. Um, Another one was doing sort of like the style of sketch notes that you tend to do, which is sort of like drawing it live and having it recorded and then speeding it up in post. So sort of this live sketchnoting approach of taking that video. And then the third one was something that I've tried before, which was a project that I've done before was like a note card animation, which is like I have all of the things that I'm drawing out. I have them done ahead of time on note cards, and then I have a pre-recorded audio. And whenever I want to slide in, I just slide in and slide out, and I can edit it to make it look really good afterwards. Um, so those are the three that I was working with, and I ended up going with sort of that like slide in, slide out note card approach because that was the one that was going to allow me to get it the way I wanted to, and do most of the work before the filming.
I like that prepped hand sketch slide approach to making videos like this because, as Austin mentioned, that takes away a lot of the pressure. You can take as much time as you want creating each of those index card slides, and then when it comes time to record a video or give a presentation, all you've got to do is slide them in and out of the frame.
So for Christmas, my mom had gifted me like there are these LED, like they almost look like hockey pucks, where they're these LED lights
Oh, yeah, I have one.
of like 4 to 8. But she got me a pack of those LED lights, and that was my light source for it. Like they like I have a little remote and I could change the color of it and stuff. Um, However, like the batteries like kept dying. So that's what I'm talking about in terms of like I wanted to spend as little time as possible because I had 4 of them and I had them duct taped. There's a little closet in my apartment, and I had them duct taped to like each of the walls in the closet facing the the work surface that I was working on, and that like every once in a while, like it was really hard for me to get all 4 of them to consistently get on my on my surface for at least like 2 minutes. And like those that was ridiculous. Like that's way harder than it needs to be. But like that was just what I was working with in the moment. And I was like, I'm not going out to the photo supply store to fix this right now. Like I'm just going to make it work. So like partly also probably because I just love challenges like that.
And that willingness to take on those types of challenges is what's going to set Austin up for success in the creative career that he's building. And I think the same applies to you and the sketchnoting projects that you're working on. You'll inevitably come across challenges, either with the tools that you're using or the process that you think will work, but then doesn't. Those challenges aren't insurmountable. Like Marie Forleo says, everything is figure-outable. Finally, let's talk impact. Here's Austin again.
It was received really well, like not only by Joe, but like by folks that knew Joe in particular. There were a lot of folks that reached out to me saying like, wow, this video feels like Joe. Like yeah, like this is Joe. Like it's really funny too, because like even in the video, he's got like, I didn't tell him to do this, he just did it. Like he's got like his shirt open a little bit and you can see his like chain, and it's just like it's very much him. Like you're just getting the real Joe on video through this thing. As far as like the like how it's been received by folks that are signing up for his course, like I think he literally just launched it like yesterday. Like I just got an email in my inbox from a newsletter that he's got. So I think we'll still have to wait and see like how actual folks that are potentially going to take this course, how they respond to it. But just in terms of like having this be something that reflects Joe and Joe's passion, like we got really good feedback, not only from Joe, but like from folks that are around Joe and close to him, and even his like clients too. Like they were like folks that he's worked with in the real estate world, like sold their houses or whatever. They were like, yeah, that's the Joe we know.
With a video like this, I think that's some of the best feedback you can get. So this was just one example of how someone is using the skill of sketchnoting to effectively communicate an idea and tell a story. I hope that you found it helpful to hear about Austin's process, see the final form of his video, maybe steal an element or two based on what you saw him use. And those clips that you just saw were actually part of a pretty wide-ranging conversation that we had. And though you couldn't see it, there were a bunch of folks watching that conversation live, participating in the chat, responding to the things that Austin was sharing, asking questions that we got to explore later on in the chat. And if you would like to take part in the next episode of this series that I'm calling Sketchnote Breakdown, then come join us within Verbal to Visual's online classroom. Anyone who has picked up one of our sketchnoting courses or joined the Verbal to Visual community gets the invite to those chats with interesting creators. I've included a link down below where you can learn more about that online classroom. I also wanted to say a big thanks to Austin for taking the time to chat with us. I have linked to his site down below as well in case you might want to work with him. And with that, we'll wrap it up for today. Good luck with whatever sketchnoting project you're working on, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Until then.